Would you rather look like this or this? That's the conversation today. Tech neck. Stay tuned. I'm Dr. John Gray, and today we're going to talk about tech neck. Tech neck can affect your posture and it can affect your breathing. Not only that, but it also affects how people look at us, how we're received. That's been shown, our posture has been shown to affect success in job interviews, and it can also lead to what we call radiculopathy. What's radiculopathy? That's essentially where we get too much pressure on an area, or it's had a trauma, but bottom line, something's caused too much pressure, and this disc area here in the center is broken down. As that breaks down, especially if we're in this forward posture like tech necks tend to do, and they tend to tilt a lot at the very top, then that pressure will go push that disc into the back. As that goes into the back, that goes into the nerve. Now, how much effect that has on the nerve will depending on what part of the nerve it goes into. It can go into the center part here that you'll see, or it can go into one of these side arms. If it goes into one of the side bodies, one of the side nerves, that'll cause problems on whatever that nerve feeds on that side. For example, a lot of times areas in the neck that are affected are stuff that feeds the hand or the shoulder or the upper back, and it can refer pain into those areas. If it goes into the center, it'll affect everything below that level, and that'll cause you quite a bit more problems as you go. So it's important not to wear on things if you don't have to. It's just like riding around with a tire on your car that you know is out of alignment. If that car is riding on just like 25% of its tire, and you know you got to take a trip across the United States, and you want to go 80 miles an hour, that may not be something that you feel comfortable doing. But if we can align that tire and get your workload on all 100% of the tire, you're going to become you'll be much less likely to wear through the tire, and it'll last and be safer at higher speeds. And that's the same way it is with our disc and our neck. So what are we trying to do with tech neck? Well, this is a normal alignment and posture. This is where the head weight, you'll have three curves as we go through the spine. One in the neck, one in the mid-back, and one in the low back. And we want that center of gravity coming down and meeting through different levels. This would be like your hips down in here. And this would be like your hips down in here, and then your ankles will be down in here, and you'd want that. This would be your mid-back. So we want that because the joint is designed to bear weight evenly on the three different surfaces of the joint, of the vertebrae. This would be what happens when we have tech neck. What happens is this unhappy camper, as you bend your head forward, the neck straightens out. Well, you still have to have a center of balance or you'll fall forward. So what happens is your back will curve, trying to pull back to counterweight the weight up here. As you come down into the low back, as you curve like this, you're going to throw yourself up on your heels. So what happens is your low back will arch deep, especially and what happens is it not only arches deeper, but when that happens, you'll take most of the load in one or two areas instead of spreading out the load. So instead of having the load kind of evenly spread like in this natural curve, as your curve gets deeper, you can see that all the load will get pushed into these lower ones. And then up in here, as you curve back, same thing happens. So not only does your loads become more, so there's two things going on. Loads will become more, and then the second part is as the loads not only become more, you'll just have more load in general. You have more load in general because when you hold a weight here, like if I was to hold a bowling ball here, I would be able to go for a fair amount of time. But if I tried to hold the bowling ball out here, because of the lever and that space, I'm going to work a lot harder. So we're getting the weight further away from the center, which makes us work harder, and then we're also putting most of the workload into just one or two areas because we're trying to accommodate for the curves. So you're going to get a lot of workload up in here at the base. You're also going to get a lot of workload because the spine will contract to try to pull the head back. And so this is compressive. This line here is you're compressing inward both ways, and that's what squeezes the disc. And that's where we run into our real risk. And then we'll have deep curves down in here as well in the low back. But so what you do is you're trying to get that center line on the tech neck. So that's why tech neck's a big thing. We can avoid it. There's a couple ways you can simply start avoiding it now. And that's simply to take a break and be aware of it. So every 15 minutes, if you'll take a break and look 20 feet away, correct your posture. So an easy thing to do is just turn your hands out and bring your shoulder blades together. And that'll help take care of that, helps lock in your shoulder blades, takes away from the rounding that occurs, and then bring your chin in and then draw your lower belly button in, even if you're just sitting. If you can do it standing, even better. And you want to do that for 20 seconds. So every 20 minutes, take a 20-second break. Do that. You can put a little memory note or put it on your timer on your computer, whatever you got to do. And just take that break. It'll be a stretch and a strengthen both, because that's why we're holding it for 20 seconds. It's because we're going to stretch those areas, elongate it, and then we're going to be strengthening them as well, because we're holding this. It's not going to be easy for us to hold that posture at first. And then if you want to work on your eyes a little bit too and get them the muscles to work from the screen, then you'll just look at something 20 feet away and focus on that for the 20 seconds as well, and that'll help your eyes. So all areas will get helped. Now, if your posture is getting to where you believe that you've crept past, or you've noticed that a little shoulder indifference or the head sits forward all the time, there's things we can do to help you regain that. Just give us a call at 208-854-0600. And until next week, remember to take your 20-minute breaks.